Kick it off. Thank you guys for joining us today. My name is Jessica Reynolds. I'm the Director of the Office of Downtown Development. We appreciate you guys taking your time to be here. And while I wish I could take total credit for the idea of this awesome webinar, I have to give shout out to Tess Harper, our Communications and Training Coordinator. We do these monthly webinars and we're always looking for new ideas and new topics. And she brought to us the idea of, hey, what if we worked with the city of Covington, Lauren and Jenny, and talked to them. They have had a lot of filming that's happened over the past several years, but also throughout the history of Covington, and kind of talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly, what they've learned from it, what they would do differently in the future. And I think, this is one of those things that even if you don't have filming that's happening in your community, can still be relevant. So that way you're prepared if something good, shows up on your door. So what is it? Luck is timing plus preparedness plus opportunity or something like that. So we just, we're going to be ready for the good stuff coming our way. So with us today, we have Lauren Singleton. She's the director of the Main Street program in Covington. And we have Jenny McDonald. She is our film commissioner for the Covington-Newton County Convention and Visitors Bureau. And so they work really closely on all things filming downtown. Lauren, especially on the communicating side of things with the merchants. And so with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Lauren and Jenny and let them kick us off. All right, guys.
All right. Thanks so much, Jessica. We are so excited to be doing this. I'm Lauren. Like Jessica said, I'm the Main Street Director here in Covington.
And I'm Jenny McDonald, the Film Commissioner here in Covington.
And we're just really happy to be here today. Like Jessica said, Covington has done a lot of filming, and so we were very happy and honored that Tess asked us to do this filming for everyone, to do this webinar for everyone, because we do a lot of filming. So what we're going to talk about today is, first we're going to talk a little bit about our filming history. We've done a lot of filming here, and we're just going to talk about some things and show you some things that have been filmed here. And then next we're going to talk about how do you exactly land a production, because people always ask Jenny and I, how do you guys get so much filming? So we're going to talk about that a little bit and the process that we go through. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the economic impact of filming in your downtown. And then we'll discuss a little bit about film tourism and how it relates to your downtown. And then we'll just finish up with a list of the good, the bad, and the ugly that we didn't cover already. So I'm going to exit out of this real quick and just show you some scenes from some movies and TV shows, that have been filmed here in Covington. Jenny actually shows this when she does a lot of her film panels. So sit back, relax, and just grab some popcorn if you have some nearby, and just enjoy the show. All right, so this is from Vampire Diaries. As you know, you may know that we are also known as Mystic Falls. Dukes of Hazzard was also filmed here. The first 5 episodes were filmed here in downtown Covington. And as you can see, the General Lee's just rolling around the square in downtown Covington. You may remember the movie Selma, about Dr. Martin Luther King's visit to Selma. The courthouse that you see there was actually the Albert Hotel in the movie. And I wasn't actually here at the time that Selma was filming, but Jenny was, and she said that Brad Pitt, who was one of the executive producers, was actually seen around town scouting the location for Selma. But not only did they go outside out on the square, but they were also inside. What you see right now is the inside of our historic courthouse. So they filmed inside and outside. The courthouse is still operating today, just not as an active courthouse, but our county commissioners are, they have their offices inside as well. The desk that you see here, the hotel desk, that is actually still inside the courthouse today. Unfortunately, they just can't figure out how to get it out. So it's still sitting in the courthouse today. But some of the background photos that you see on the walls, the set designers left those there. Those were original when they rolled into town for production. So yeah, that's pretty much everything as you see it today. Prisoners, this is actually Porterdale. Porterdale's right down the street from Covington. The building that you see there, those are loft apartments now, made out of a former mill. And so this is actually Porterdale. A lot of the filming scenes that you see here in this sizzle reel were just not only Covington, but Newton County as well. But these are actually woods along the Yellow River in Porterdale. Jenny, do you have anything you would like to add?
No, if you see that incoming shot, that was all drone work. So you have to stop all the traffic and make sure that the drone has FFA approval and the pilot is certified, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of drone work is coming into play now.
This is Flight with Denzel Washington. Funny story about this, about 911, Jenny, if you want to share that, about how the residents didn't know what was going on, because this is out in a field in Newton County, and a lot of 911 calls were coming in going, what's going on? We hear about a plane crash, but it was just filming. So this is Footloose, the 2010 version. This is inside the courthouse again, where our county commissioners meet. So this is another scene. As you can see, for movies, we do just a lot of 1 or 2 scenes, and we'll go into that in a few minutes. You tend to do a little bit more shooting when it comes to TV shows. American Reunion. This gymnasium is no longer standing. Where was this again, Jenny?
This is Newton County High School, and we used the school for many, many years because schools are hard to find for filming. Unfortunately, they tore this building down and put in a performing arts studio.
But we still say that American Reunion was shot here, even though the location is technically not around anymore. Yes, The Walking Dead. This is the one and only scene that we claim for The Walking Dead. We do not advertise it very much because we do like to give Sonoy their props for, how much great work they do with The Walking Dead. But this was out in another part of Newton County, near Mansfield. And this is just our only scene for The Walking Dead, but we still like to show it anyway because it's just a great car crash scene. So yeah, that's pretty much it for The Walking Dead. But shout out to Sonoy. We were just there earlier this week, and they're doing great things there. The Family That Prays Together, a Tyler Perry movie, was done here in downtown Covington, and that's actually out in front of one of our restaurants that has been here for about 55 years, the Townhouse Cafe. Remember the Titans. Everyone loves Remember the Titans. And you all probably remember this very, very pivotal scene as Gary is going through town after a very important win with the Titans. So yes, this scene was actually filmed right here in downtown Covington, and if you ever visit us, I will take you exactly to the intersection where this was filmed. Dolly Parton's Coat of Many Colors. We had a lot of filming here for this production. The scene you see right now is at Gaithers at Myrtle Creek Farm. That's where a lot of the cabin scenes were shot, a lot of the farming scenes were shot. If you're familiar with the movie, the scenes where they came to town and did their shopping, that was actually downtown Covington as well. So they were in the area for quite a significant length of time shooting here. And they did come back and do Circle of Love, the second part of Coat of Many Colors. So we were fortunate enough to have both Dolly Parton movies filmed here. Cannonball Run, this is probably one of my most favorite scenes in downtown, because how often will you see a plane land in your downtown area? And if you're familiar with Cannonball Run, it's a Burt Reynolds movie, and Burt Reynolds is driving the plane, and along with Dom DeLuise in the passenger seat. And a lot of people just really just enjoy seeing all the people trying to figure out why there's a plane landing in downtown. Go ahead, Jen.
And the funny thing, this scene almost didn't happen because this store wouldn't let them put beer in there. But then they did anyway, so we finally got the scene.
So, yep. And the plane does take off. So I don't think we could ever accomplish that shot today, but it was just a great shot. Miracles from Heaven is a movie with Jennifer Garner in it. Do you want to tell them about this tree, Jenny?
The tree, which is the main focus of the whole movie, that actually they built that on the property owner's land, and that tree cost $300,000 to build.
So as realistic as it is, that tree is fake. And as the girls climb up it and you look closer at it, you can kind of see in some of the areas where it kind of looks artificial. But this property is actually another property out in the county area, so it's not near downtown Covington. But I believe when Jennifer Garner was here, she stayed near downtown. Is that correct, Jenny?
She stayed in Dunwoody there.
Oh, okay. She stayed a little bit in Dunwoody while she was filming here. But sometimes some of the crew and stars do stay in the area if they're here for a significant amount of time. I do know that one of our business owners who live very close to town was just actually approached by a director wanting to rent her house for a few months while he's going to be in town filming over the summer. Like we said, this was a tree, and apparently after they completed filming, the tree ended up going into flames. Is that correct?
Yes. I had asked for one of the branches to put in with our props that we try to collect from each production. I wanted one of the branches, but as they were dismantling the tree, it caught on fire, so it burned to the ground, and I was not able to get a branch from the tree.
So sometimes you have mishaps like that happen when it comes to filming, but
it was a good, exciting day for 911 and the fire department.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. So let's see what else is coming up after this scene. My Cousin Vinny. Everyone loves My Cousin Vinny. Everyone knows that Marissa Tomei won an Oscar for this. This cabin is actually out in the county area. Go ahead.
And it's actually a historic cabin, and the owners brought it and put it on the property, and it was used for many, many things, different films. And it recently burned down, but they have reproduced it, so the cabin's back.
So, yeah, when we have this poster, the My Cousin Vinny poster, up in our Welcome Center, and people always ask us, My Cousin Vinny was really shot here? Yes. We like to say that My Cousin Vinny was shot in Newton County, not at the courthouse. The courthouse, I believe,
it's in Monticello.
But this cabin scene where they stayed, that was in Covington and Newton County. Sweet Home Alabama. A lot of people love Sweet Home Alabama. We were actually home to her parents' trailer park. That is our claim to fame for Sweet Home Alabama. But that's actually not far from downtown. A lot of these places you can visit, but not a lot of people we recommend would visit the trailer park. A man called Peter, that's actually the First Methodist Church here in Covington. In the Heat of the Night, all 8 seasons of In the Heat of the Night were filmed here in downtown Covington. We still get several visitors that come back and want to take a look around and tour the different spots for In the Heat of the Night, because it was such a great show and a great economic impact for downtown Covington. Let's see, what else is coming up? And people still ask all the time if Carroll O'Connor, walked around and visited stores and talked with people, and he did. And of course, Vampire Diaries. Sometimes if the stars are here long enough, they will, engage with the public, engage with the business owners, even buy things from stores and things like that. Now, this scene in particular from the Vampire Diaries include a really big road closure because of the parade and the amount of people that were on set that day. Do you have anything about Vampire Diaries? Okay. So that's pretty much our sizzle reel for that. And let me see if I can just close that out. Okay. So let's go back to our presentation here. So as you can see, we have a very rich history when it comes to filming. A Man Called Peter was our very first experience with filming back in 1954. So this year we are celebrating 65 years of history, film history here in Covington. We've had about over 110 television shows and movies filmed here in Covington-Newton County, and about 25% of those are just in downtown Covington alone. And the most notable, as you saw, Dukes of Hazzard, we had the first 5 episodes, In the Heat of the Night, Remember the Titans, Selma, Vampire Diaries, Code of Many Colors, and most recently, that you didn't see, Dumplin', which was a Netflix movie, and Christmas Everlasting, which was a Hallmark movie. So Jenny's going to talk to you a little bit about how exactly do we land a production.
Landing a production here is the reason we've had so much filming is because our downtown really is like a backlot. And producers and writers love that they don't have to come in and prop a lot of things. What happens first is a location scout will call me or email me with location ideas of what they're looking for. Once the location scout has given me a description, I'll go through my database and look for things that I think may or may not work for the production and send them the photographs to look at if we have photographs. If they aren't in the database and I know about them, I'll go out and take photographs myself and send those photographs on to the location scouts. Once the scouts come here, and I actually go on the scouts with them so that they can take the photos and everything themselves, which they take back to the producers, the directors, the set designers, and anyone else that needs to see if the actual location will work. Site visit is a tech scout is the next thing that will happen. They'll bring in the producers or the directors and the set designers to walk the location, to look at things and plan everything out. And then you will find out then if your site is chosen.
So if the site just happens to be downtown, that's when I, as the Main Street director, kind of get involved because they do have to submit a filming permit through me in my office. And last year, we had a little bit of rumors going around our downtown with some of our business owners not understanding the permit process of filming. So I actually put together this infographic about how the whole permit process goes about, and I'll just go through it with you here. So first they check with me to see if their date is even available. And then they'll fill out the permit application that I give them, and it can go one of either way. after that. If they are not closing any roads or blocking any parking spaces, that closing roads and blocking parking spaces requires our city council to approve it. So if they don't have any of that, then they can just go straight down here to the very bottom to paying the permit fee, and the filming takes place. But if you're familiar with filming already in your downtown, you know that some type of parking spaces are going to be blocked, and some roads are going to be closed. So normally we go right over here to where we have a meeting with the mayor, the city manager, representatives from the police department, fire department, public works, transportation, even sometimes the electric department. Jenny is our tourism director and our film commissioner, and even a representative from the county sometimes gets involved, depending on if they're going to use the courthouse in any of the scenes. So once we have that meeting and everyone in the room thinks it's going to be great, if they approve, that's when it goes over to the city council for approval. And if they approve it, and we collect the permit fee. All of the permit fees go back to the Main Street office, and I will go into that later, what we do with the permit fees. But if there's a road closure fee associated, then that road closure fee goes to the city. Okay, so after we go through all of that, which depending on the production, can last a couple of weeks, it can last a couple of days. It can go very fast, but then we do the tech scout with the police department, just to go over some things that may have changed in the permit meeting with all of the city officials, and we'll get the police department representatives out there to go through the tech scout as well. The locations department will notify all the downtown businesses that there is filming coming up in the area. And I do assist them with that because sometimes you have location managers who haven't been here before, and so they don't know who to speak with. And then we have some location managers who have come here often, and they know exactly who to speak with. So I do tend to assist them with speaking with the downtown business owners, because as soon as the business owners get that notice that there's filming, they tend to freak out. They don't know what to expect. So I'm kind of there just to ease any frustrations or fears that they may have. The locations department will then negotiate compensation with the businesses directly that are in the shots that they're doing. And this is either called an inconvenience fee or an impact fee, depending on what your city calls it. We pretty much use those terms interchangeable here. The Main Street office and the film office, we do not get involved in those negotiations at all, because that is in between the production and the business itself. The only time we get involved is if a business calls us and say, hey, we haven't gotten paid yet. We'll just contact the locations department and say, hey, this business hasn't gotten paid yet. Do you mind looking into that for us? We normally don't ask, how much they're getting paid. We just make sure that, they receive the appropriate amount of compensation. Contracts are signed with the businesses receiving the compensation. And once again, Main Street and the film office, we do not get involved in those contract signings. No one production is the same, so this process, like I said, can take a couple of weeks. It can take a couple of days. It just really depends on the schedule of your production, how fast they need to start shooting. So once we get everything done and all the contracts are signed, everyone's getting checks, that's when all the fun begins with your lights, camera, action out in your downtown. So what's really the economic impact of filming in your downtown? So first of all, who's going to dine downtown? Well, the crew has to eat. They're eventually going to have to eat something. They're there all day, so they're pretty much going to have to eat. Now the production crew they'll bring in catering, but for the most part, your crew members, they'll eat in your restaurants because they understand the impact that they're having on your downtown. So for the most part, they will eat in your restaurants. The general public, they'll also dine in your downtown because you will have some visitors that will, we like to call them looky-loos around here. Well, they just want to come and see what's going on. So if you have a restaurant with a nice outdoor patio, outdoor seating area, they'll probably just want to come and hang out on the outdoor patio and have a drink and have something to eat and watch filming. Who will shop in your downtown? If the crew is here for a long period of time, they will shop. If they're only here for like a day or two, and then they probably won't shop at all. The general public will possibly shop if it's a long day of filming and, they get tired of seeing the same things happen over and over and over again. They'll probably just, walk around and look at all the stores and probably buy a few things. Let's see. Jenny's going to talk a little bit about some businesses that have opened because of filming in our downtown area. And businesses will open because of filming, and we have two great examples here in downtown Covington.
First of all, we have Mystic Falls Tours. This was started by Jessica Lowry, who was a special needs teacher who got laid off, and she just happened to like watching them film. So she would sit around at nighttime and watch them film and become friends with the cast and crew, and started doing tours out of the back of her van. Well, today she has a storefront called On Location, and her tours are anywhere from 60 to 70 people at times, and they're still coming, and the show has been off the air for 2 years now. So that is a great business model that she has produced out of nothing. The Mystic Grill is actually, the grill is in downtown Covington. It's an actual restaurant now. It's a restaurant and bar in the show, but they only use the outside. So when two of the owners said, you know what, we can take this old building and rehab it and turn it into the real Mystic Grill, and that's exactly what they did. And they duplicated the bar area exactly down to the T. They let them go to the sound stage and take photographs. So the bar area is exactly a replica of the bar area in Vampire Diaries. Another portion of each year, the state gives us our economic impact numbers for tourism. And in 2017, we supported in local payroll tax in excess of $26 million. And the big number that we look at is the direct tourist spending. And if you look at that number, which is over $134 million, that is in direct tourist spending. And I would say that probably anywhere from 75 to 80% is Vampire Diaries. So if you can look at the rest of the numbers, I won't read them to you, but those are the reports that we get from the state, and that shows you how a show that's wildly popular can bring visitors to your town and spend their dollars there.
Now, we don't know exactly what number of that $134 million in direct tourist spending is directly in downtown. We don't have that number. We're trying to figure out a way to get that number. We can only ask our downtown business owners, how much did you do in sales on this day? So we're trying to figure out an easier and more scientific way, I guess, of trying to figure out the direct tourist spending in downtown alone, if it is even a possibility. So a term you hear a lot is film tourism. And a lot of people that I've heard in the Main Street tourism industry like to say that Covington pretty much wrote the book on film tourism because we've been doing filming so long. And one of the things that we have noticed is that with TV series and movies, there are different types of filming. A TV series is more likely to come back to your city than a film because a TV series is going to do more than one shot. And if the TV series is popular, they're just going to keep coming back and coming back, like Vampire Diaries, like In the Heat of the Night. With movies, they shoot one scene, maybe two if you're lucky, and they're done. We actually had a Stephen King movie here filming last October. They filmed two scenes, and that was it. But we still say that we've got a Stephen King movie in the works, so that's always great. But downtowns are more likely to get a TV series than a movie, only because they're looking for that town. They're looking for that location that they can keep coming back to, like with the Vampire Diaries. Because with Vampire Diaries and the spinoff called The Originals, and then the spinoff from that, Legacies, with all three of those TV shows, they still kept coming back here because we are Mystic Falls, Virginia. And like you said, TV series is a gold mine. If the TV series is popular, they'll just keep coming back. Go ahead. And then exploit that location of the scene. Like I said earlier, remember the Titans filmed here, just one scene. And you know what? We tell people all the time that Remember the Titans was filmed here. So if you have a scene filmed in your downtown, exploit that location. Tell people that, you know, that TV show, that movie was filmed in your downtown, because people are going to want to see it. I'm sure after, you know, I told you guys that Remember the Titans was filmed here and that pivotal scene was filmed here, you know, you probably want to come see it, or you probably want to come see where Vampire Diaries was filmed. So exploit those locations that are filmed in your downtown, and just let people know, you know, what scenes were filmed here, because, you know, people are interested in what's going on in your downtown.
Each month we have to report visitor counts to the state. A town of our size should only be seeing probably about 15,000 people, and we're edging up over to 40,000 a year. If you look at we do it side by side so we can see how we're growing the visitor count, and you can tell that from the graph. Where you see the two spikes, where you have the huge increase in numbers, is where we had finale viewing parties, and that's how we reached over 6,000 visitors that month. And if you look at some of the countries that we attract, that's because of Vampire Diaries alone as well. That's Australia, Canada, Germany, Italy, Japan, and South Africa. We see people from all over the world that come here to see where Vampire Diaries was filmed.
So let's see. Moving on, we're going to show you a little bit of that finale. Probably not the whole thing, so I'm going to switch out of here real quick.
Hey, Lauren, before you move on, we got a couple questions I think might be good to ask at this moment.
Go ahead.
So one of them is, with your permit fees, does that vary by the size of the project, or is it just a set fee?
It's a set fee.
Okay. So then the next question is, with downtown businesses and them getting those impact fees, is it just the businesses that are being have some filming happen, or is it anybody that's impacted by the road closures?
Oh, that's a great question. That's something that we try to deal with all the time. If in our city ordinance, and the city manager has explained it to me, that if there is filming taking place, whether it be inside the building, in front of the building, and they're blocking the parking spaces directly in front of the building, then that business should receive some type of impact fee. If let's say, for instance, they're filming down the street, but they're still taking up parking in front of the building, you know, a block away, then they receive an impact fee. If the filming is not blocking any parking spaces in front of the store, if they're 2 blocks down the street and they're nowhere near you, then they don't get a fee. So it just depends on how much the filming is touching that business, I guess. Mm-hmm. I hope that answered the question.
Yeah. Do you ever have a situation though where the neighbors are trying to compare their fees and what they're getting, and that there could be potentially hurt feelings, or, you know?
Yes, and I'm actually going to get into that in just a second.
All right,
after
cool.
we show just a little bit of the Vampire Diaries finale, which is a great example of film tourism. But no, that is a great question, Jessica, which we'll get into in just a second.
Okay, and then one last one. When you talk about, these road closures and stuff, do you have to work directly at all with DOT to handle any of that? I mean, I don't know if any of your stuff are state highways in Covington as far as the downtown.
In Covington, we do not have any state highways, but we do have a couple of state highways right outside of downtown Covington. And so when we do get film permits in that are not in downtown, that comes to Jenny, and she works with our city's transportation department when it comes to talking to DOT about road closures. Do you want to talk about that, Jenny?
Mainly, we put the onus back on the production company to work directly with GDOT. It could be pretty much a hassle to do that. That's why
have to be, the go-between.
A state highway, I just cringe. But we have a letter that we give them and let the production company handle it with GDOT, but they have to have approval and bring that sign form back to us.
Okay.
And the location managers, they're the ones we deal with for the most part. They understand the whole process by now of how to deal with the DOT anyway. So when we tell them it's the state highway, they automatically know what to do. But no, we try to assist them as much as we can.
Got it. All right, carry on.
Okay. No, great questions. Thank you. So this is from the Vampire Diaries finale party that we had. Let me see. There we go. And I'll just let Jenny talk you through it a little bit.
This is the last episode of the whole entire show, and the only advertising we did was on Facebook for this. And I think we had probably about over 5,000 visitors come to just sit in the park and watch the final episode. So we had a fun day. They started setting up their chairs at 7:30 in the morning. So this is film tourism at its best. It lasted into the night, and then the people, they didn't leave the next day. They stayed, and you get a 3 or 4 night stay out of it usually.
Now, the businesses around downtown, they did get involved in this. Some of them did special vampire specials, and some of the specials that they did that night, they still do to this day. Like our local barbecue restaurant here, he does a barbecue sandwich I think it's called the Vampire Bite. So they did a lot of specials that evening. As you can see, everyone went inside and ate at different places. There were some vendors out there. That's our local coffee shop. And so people literally just sat in the park all day. They shopped. They ate.
We had a Miss Mystic Falls contest, if that's what you're seeing right now.
And so I think some of the dresses were donated by a consignment shop. We have a consignment shop here on the square, and so she donated the prom dresses that she saw out there for the Miss Mystic Falls pageant. But yeah, all of those people ended up on our square for the finale of Vampire Diaries. And we also did an event similar to this recently for the finale of the originals, which the next to last episode of the originals was filmed back here in Mystic Falls, which was also turned out to be the premiere episode of Legacies, the next spinoff from Vampire Diaries. So I'm going to exit out of this just a little bit.
Lauren, I have one more question for you guys about visitors and stuff like that. Who's responsible for counting? How do you count? How does that whole thing work? Knowing that true impact of how many people are coming for, this kind of stuff.
Jenny, you want to go ahead?
Yes. Unfortunately, we can only capture the ones that come to the Welcome Center, and the number would be higher if we were located in the downtown area. We're 2 blocks off, so we probably missed some of the visitors that don't know where the Welcome Center is. We actually have a login system here where they have to put their name, where they're from, how many's in their party, et cetera, et cetera. So we keep those records. And we also have a counter on the door, and we have a formula that we use to make sure that it's accurate. It's not just us coming in and out of the door. So that's mainly how we keep up with the visitors.
Do you work at all with your businesses, like the one, I can't remember what it's called, the Vampire Diaries place that does the tours and stuff, to kind of see how many people they have coming through
Actually,
and
just recently put the same logbook in the alley that's part of Mystic Grill and in
okay,
just store on location to capture those visitors that come directly to them.
got it. Cool. All right.
All right.
Carry on, ladies.
All right. So what's the good, the bad, and the ugly of it all? So we'll start with the good. Filming does generate revenue for businesses from the crew and visitors, like we just saw. It does introduce your downtown to new visitors, whether they are crew members, whether they're even actors, or just people wanting to see filming, just sit down and watch, what's going on in your downtown. The visitors will keep coming back. As you saw with Vampire Diaries, visitors keep coming back. We still have visitors coming back for, like I said, In the Heat of the Night. We also have visitors that come back for Dukes of Hazzard. Even though the first 5 episodes were shot here, they still want to come see where it all began. Filming always generates a buzz within the community. Whether it be good or bad, it's still a buzz. It still gets people talking about your downtown. And like we saw before, new businesses will open in your downtown and even possibly revitalize your downtown, like Jenny explained about the Mystic Grill. And Vampire Diaries was huge about helping bring in new business, because all these new business owners saw what was going on in downtown, and they just wanted to be a part of it, and saw all these people, and we saw a lot of businesses open right around the time when Vampire Diaries was filming. Permit fees. Some of you were asking about our permit fees. So when I collect that permit fee, I actually put that away to use for projects downtown. And last year I used permit fees to install a new walking tour in downtown. It helped do research. It helped print the brochures. So whatever permit fees I get from filming, I put right back into downtown. So if people ever ask, well, what do you do with those permit fees? It doesn't go towards events. It doesn't go towards staff. I just write it back into beautification of downtown. Another great thing is production crews, for the most part, are respectful and courteous. They know that they are a guest in your downtown, and, they want to be welcomed back. And also, a great thing about filming is you get great ideas for beautification projects. And I was just telling Jessica before we started our webinar that, what we Main Street directors do is we, duplicate and replicate, and we're not ashamed of it. I think it's great. The picture that you see here was from Doom Patrol, which is a TV show on CW. It filmed here back in March, I believe. And the planters that you see on the sidewalk, they actually put those out. And I tried to convince the location manager and the set designers. I'm like, can you please leave them here, because they look great and I would love to keep them. But unfortunately, they took them with them. But as you can see, it made our square just a little bit more colorful. And so that's something I'm working on with my design committee right now, about getting some planters like that out on our squares. So you get some great ideas for beautification projects. And police officers, they are paid overtime rates. Here, I don't know about in your town, but here in Covington, our police officers are paid overtime rates when they have to work security for the film shoots. And our officers, they just love that when filming comes to town, because they do put that money aside for like Christmas presents or vacations and things like that. So, like I said before, you have some great ideas for design projects in your downtown. As you can see, if you can see my mouse, the umbrellas and the rocking chairs and everything that you see on either side of the sidewalk in front of the stores here, that is not normal. That was actually put out there by the set designers. I forget what shoot it was, but the set designers put that out there, and I thought it looked great. I didn't know that there was enough space on that sidewalk to put rocking chairs or tables with umbrellas. So that's something that we're also looking at doing. And then over here on the very far right side, you see the sign that says, yes, we are open for business. So whenever you have filming, it's always great to have these signs because that takes me right into something else. But before I get to the bad, this is actually the Covington Dance Shop, but you see it as Clover Donuts. The film crews for Dumplin actually came in and put up this signage, put up the curtains in the windows. They actually decorated this store for the film Dumplin, and the business owner was compensated for it. But sometimes you will have productions that do this. And as you can see, it doesn't really stand out too much. It's still in keeping with the rest of the buildings. It doesn't really stand out too much. So what's the bad part about filming? It can be a little bit of an inconvenience to residents in the area, especially if you get filming on top of filming on top of filming, because they can't park in their normal parking spaces, and they just can't visit their normal businesses like they would on any other day. So it tends to be a bit of an inconvenience to your residents. It takes up a lot of my time and Jenny's time when there's filming here, because, sometimes, like I said before, sometimes they need to get approval in just a couple of days. So it takes up a lot of our time to make sure that all of these moving parts are moving smoothly and everything gets done in a timely manner.
So Lauren, if you have someone who comes in with an expedited request, you try and accommodate them to the best of your ability?
Absolutely, yes, because we want to stay known as a film-friendly community, and so we try to expedite it as best as we can. But, like I'll go into the ugly in just a second, sometimes requests are just a little out there. But along with the bad, public perception that downtown is closed, just if, word gets out that there's filming, they'll just think, oh, downtown is closed, we're not going downtown today. So that's why having those signs out in front of stores that say, yes, we are open during filming and around your downtown area is always great, because if your downtown is open, your stores are open, and they just happen to be filming in a small part of your downtown, you don't want your businesses to lose out on any potential revenue. So you don't want that public perception to get out there that your downtown is closed during filming. And obviously, the whole issue of parking, we all know that there's, an issue of parking in all of our downtowns. So that tends to be a bad thing when filming crews take up parking. So you always want to make sure that you notify the public, if you can, in advance, that there are going to be some parking issues within your downtown on days of filming. And I know you're asking yourself, do we ever get to meet celebrities? And unfortunately, we rarely are able to ever meet celebrities. Sorry to burst your bubble on that one. So the ugly part of it. Yes, there is ugly parts to filming. It is an inconvenience to businesses. Yes, we do say that, the businesses get paid these impact fees. Yes, the crew and the general public will still come shop and dine. But you also have the inconveniences to the businesses that are like your professional services, your hair salons. There's probably no one from a film crew who's going to come get their hair cut or come get their nails done. So you also have to think about your professional services out there in your downtown, because, it's an inconvenience to them as well. Sometimes businesses don't get paid their inconvenience fees. We had an instance last year where a movie came in and they stayed a little bit longer than they had planned because of rain. and they didn't pay all of their inconvenience fees to some of their businesses. And you're probably asking yourself, well, what did we do? Well, there's really nothing Jenny and I can do on our end except bug the location manager nonstop, trying to get them to pay these inconvenience fees. But there's really nothing that we can do on our end. We just really have to leave it up between the business and the production company, because they're the ones that made that contract. And so as far as I know, I don't think some of those businesses still didn't get paid. So that was kind of a letdown there. Sometimes crews do go out of scope of their permit. We have had a couple of instances where crews tend to go rogue, and you probably will have that happen in your downtown as well. And I'll show you a couple of photos of that in just a minute of what I mean by going out of scope of their permit. And yes, if they film inside a building, there is a chance that they can damage a building. We did have an instance last year of a movie coming into town. They were filming inside one of the businesses, and some of the crew members were not as experienced as we were used to working with, and they were dragging ladders across the hardwood floors. They were stapling things into the custom cabinetry. They did so much damage that they did about $60,000 worth of damage inside this one building. And so luckily, they finally got insurance to pay for that after quite a few months of back and forth in between the production company and the business. But damage to buildings, that does happen. So going out of scope of permit. So as you can see in these two pictures, you see some white stuff on the ground. That is fake snow. When this production came to town, they told us that they were going to have fake snow right in this area on the in the picture on the left. I don't know if you can see my mouth, but there are these two trees right here, and they said that the fake snow would only be around these two trees and in this area. Well, as you can see, it's all up and down this sidewalk, and it actually went further down this sidewalk than what you see in the picture. And for you Main Street directors out there, just so you know, about a month before they started shooting, I had pressure washed, had paid to have all these sidewalks pressure washed. So I was a little bit upset when I saw all of this fake snow out on the sidewalks. And then we also had some of these cars you see are actually just patrons at some of the businesses who came out of the businesses, and some of their cars were covered in fake snow. They didn't have, the production company didn't have permission to do that. So that's another example of going out of scope of permit. And then over here on the right-hand side, we actually had a lunchtime concert out in our square park, and they told us that there would only be a little bit of fake snow right over here on the very edge of the picture, but as you can see, we have people in shorts sitting on top of snow. So needless to say, this production was asked not to come back to Covington ever again because they went so far out of scope on their permit. And our last example of crews going rogue, these parking spaces that you see here where these trailers are, they were not approved in their permit. And as you can see, we have this one car in between them who tried to find a parking space. But this black trailer that you see is actually a catering trailer. The caterer decided to put a grill, a charcoal grill, out on the sidewalk in front of these two stores. And the smoke from the grill kept going inside the stores, and they were going inside. One of these is a clothing store, so some of the clothing started to smell like charcoal. And so as you can imagine, these business owners were not very happy about their items smelling like charcoal. So, and also the caterers were using very foul language, and it was just not a pleasant experience. So we had to get with our police department and have them get these trailers moved out of the way because, like I said, these were not part of the original permit.
So Lauren, when you have stuff like this happen and it's out of the scope, does it vary who deals with it and how you deal with it depending on, like you said, the level which they're kind of out of the scope of the permit? Is it something that you always get involved in? Is it something that the businesses have to deal with on their own? Or is it something that, like you said, you have to get the police involved? Or like what kind of warrants each step?
Normally what happens is we'll get a call from the business owner, either Lauren or I, and we'll go up there and talk to the business owner to see exactly what's going on. And there always should be a supervisor with the police department there who has the actual permit and knows what the scope is supposed to be. So they are supposed to handle any of the problems when they go out of scope because they have the authority to do that. They're not going to listen to me and Lauren, but they are going to listen to the police supervisor.
That makes sense.
So that's pretty much all we have. So if you guys just want to start sending in your questions to Jessica, and while you're doing that, I've put up Jenny and I's contact information. Feel free to give us a call, shoot us an email. We would love to talk to you about filming in your downtown or any specifics that you may have. And also while you're sending Jessica your questions, I just want to thank all of the cities that I contacted probably last year, I think it was, when we were looking at our film permit, because you guys helped us out a lot because we actually revised a lot of our film permit, and you guys helped us out a lot. So for those of you who were able to help me out, I really do appreciate it. So Jessica, do you have any questions for us?
Yeah, I just have a couple because we've been, kind of asking them as we go. Have you guys typically seen a season for filming when it tends to happen more?
Well, in the short time I've been here, because I've only been here a couple of years, I've noticed that we tend to get a little bit more filming around August, September, beginning of October. And I know the Main Street directors out there are kind of cringing because we all know that's kind of a busy season for us. Mm-hmm. I've seen that August, September, and beginning of October tend to be a little bit more film heavy than other months. But for the most part, it's pretty sporadic throughout the year. We try not to have a lot of filming during Christmas because when Christmas lights go up, we don't want to have to take them back down for filming. But for the most part, it tends to be August, September, a little bit of October.
Okay. One question says, how do you deal with the people who are on Hollywood time, those production companies who wait until the last minute to inform you of their plans or change their plans or say they'll only be filming from like 9 to 3 and then they go till 9 o'clock at night?
Jenny, you want to take that?
Well, actually, that's another thing, that's going out of scope. If it's going in late at night, the businesses are closed, the police officer or the supervisor will make a call to let them either finish up because they're going to run overtime. We just know that. So normally during the meeting time, when they say they want 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., we said no, we're going to go ahead and put midnight. So we extend the time during that meeting that we have with all the different partners from the different departments. We'll go ahead and add 3 or 4 hours to that.
That makes sense. Just knowing that realistically they're probably going to go over.
They're going to go over.
Now, if for some reason they submit the permit to us 2 days before their setup day, that tends to be a little bit quick. But we try to make it work as best we can. But if they only give us a short period of time to, get all the paperwork done, get all the approvals that we need to do, we try to get that done as fast as we can. But we also remind them that what they're trying to do has to be approved by the city council. And so we all know that city council works on their own time. So that we try to make them understand that it's going to take a little bit slower than what they would like, but we try to get it done as fast as we can.
Okay. And last question we're going to do, because we are running short on time. How do you guys advertise like Covington and Newton County as being like camera ready, like to production companies?
We really don't advertise. What I did a couple of years ago is our location database was buried in my tourism website, and I developed a microsite called Film Covington. And that's where location scouts can go directly. If they haven't gone directly to the state, which they're supposed to do first, the state film office, to get recommendations, I have a separate microsite that has all of our particular locations that are film friendly. But we've been doing it for so long that a lot of people, and the location scout world is a very small world. They jump locations. They could be working on one TV show one day and jump to another one the next day because they're on hiatus or they're not filming. So locations managers and scouts talk to each other. So if you're film friendly and it's customer service. It really is. When a scout calls, we really do drop what we're doing and make that a priority. So I think that's one reason that we've been very fortunate to have as much filming as we've had.
But like Jenny said, the location department, the locations world, like she said, is a very small world, and it's pretty much word of mouth. Like with anything else in downtown, it's people talking to each other, you know, about what locations would be great for this and that. So I think between Film Covington and word of mouth, I think those are the two ways that we really advertise Covington, Newton County, and downtown as filming locations.
Yeah, and I'm sure that their experience when they're filming, you know, impacts on whether they'd come back or consider y'all for alternative films or TV shows and stuff like that in the future.
Yes.
Absolutely. One last question. Would you guys be open to sharing your film permits and stuff like that for people who may want to check them out?
Absolutely. I can. Okay. I would be happy to share that information. Yeah.
We can just have them contact you directly if that's okay. Yeah. Okay, perfect. So anybody listening that wants more information, please just follow up with Lauren or Jenny. Their contact information is here on the screen, and they'd be more than happy to help you. So, all right, thank you guys. We're gonna call it a wrap. And we appreciate Lauren and Jenny being here with us, and we'll see y'all next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.